Hey guys, welcome to Pineapple is for Pizza. I know it's been quite some time since I've done my live, but I wanted to get on here and actually give you guys a fun little treat. My higher self was really trying to say, hey, let's just talk about some food. And today I have my guest, Krista Melanson, and she is a relationship chef. So thank you so much for being here, Krista. This is so exciting. Um,
Thank you for having me, Sam.
yeah, so let's talk a little bit about you. We have some things in common, which is super fun. So yeah, just kind of let me know. Give the bio on you.
Okay, so first of all, I want to say that in all the podcasts and all the things I've ever done, you are the first person who pronounced my last name right. And I'm not fussed either way, but you got it. You nailed it. I love that. So you put me at ease right from the get go.
Awesome.
Um, I am the relationship chef. I'm a cordon bleu trained chef and definite foodie. And I have brought that together with my relationship coaching um, business to combine them into one thing because I'm super passionate about food and I'm super passionate about my partner and my relationship. And I think that food is a great unifying factor for so many people, and I think it can be used to bring people together. And I have raised three foodies who are hilarious because they annoy people everywhere going, well, that's not quite good enough, or my mom makes it better than that. Not in an obnoxious way. As young adults now, they've learned to be more discreet about it. But food and relationships, I think, are two things that are intrinsically intertwined, and I love talking about it and helping people with all of it.
Yeah, me too. The one thing that I know that we've both done is a culinary school. So I did go to Indiana University of Culinary Arts up in Punxsutawney, smallest town ever. So it was like I came out of high school and let's travel backwards. For me, when I was like, I think in like seventh grade, I remember telling my mom that I wanted to change the world one cupcake at a time. That's literally the words that came out of my mouth. And so that's what I always just planned on doing was going to school. So I was like, what made you decide to do that? Like, what made you decide to go into culinary school?
Well, it's kind of funny. My dad was an actuary, so he was all about math and statistics and really horribly boring things. But I was daddy's little girl, so I always kind of thought that was what I would do. Whereas my mom was the quintessential hostess, and she was reading Gourmet magazine before food magazines were trendy, and making all sorts of amazing food. And she used to say that I was constantly under her feet. And so if I was going to be under her feet, she may as well do something good with it and teach me how to cook. So she really developed this amazing love of food and love of creating food because she was doing, all sorts of interesting things. It's funny, you'll laugh at this. We lived in Boston when I was really little, like I learned to talk in Boston. And she said that when she started using garlic in her cooking, she was a rebel because nobody was using garlic. So I can't even imagine that.
Right.
But anyway, she really developed that love of food. And my dad had a great love of food and could cook well also. But yeah, I sort of came from a family of foodies and always had this desire. And then when I was in university, taking math and stats in university, I'm like, I don't understand this and I don't like it. I want to do something else. And at that time, I took a job working for a catering company for a lady who went to the French Culinary Institute in New York. And she taught me restaurant type cooking things. And I was hooked right then and there and changed my direction and told my dad, I don't want to be an actuary. I want to go to cooking school. And he said, great, let's go.
Awesome. That's really cool to hear, for me, like I definitely do not like I've come so far in that time from being set in seventh grade. I know for me, like I said, I was like, oh, I want to be baking. I want to be baking because I don't want to be yelled at like Chef Gordon Ramsay. I don't want to be called that. I don't want to be like, get the fuck off my line. By the way, you can say fuck whatever the hell you want to say. That's okay on my
Oh, thanks.
podcast. So, but I was so terrified to be like on the line and have that kind of go down. So I thought that would be better just to be a baker. But now I've like really transitioned and I actually work in a food truck now, and that's so different for me. And it's something. I mean, you can totally. I love you and your coaching, because for me, food is love. It's like an extension of my heart coming to the table always, and it's always been like that. Anytime anybody comes over to my house, I'm feeding them food. I'm always having like people over for dinner or whatever. Like, hey, I'm feeding you, like, because that's my love for you. Like, that's what I want to do. And so, I've really, I've only worked in like, let's see, I've worked in one bake shop, and I worked in a pasta place, and I made gnocchi for 3 years. It wasn't really like on the line though, and then I did 6 years off of being in the culinary world. So, like, what kind of jobs did you do, like, with food or anything like that? Like, did you do that?
Oh, I definitely did. I mean, like I said, I worked for a catering company when I was in university, and that sort of started it. When I graduated from Le Cordon Bleu in Paris, I came back to Canada and I started working in an Italian restaurant. And I was always, and it sounds like you're probably similar to me. I was always adamant I didn't want to work in a hotel and make pudding for 600 people. No interest in that at all. And so I went to work in this little Italian restaurant. It was like a little mom and pop place, but really good quality food and fine dining. And I loved it. I thrived there, and the people were great. Um, and then that sort of morphed into another, um, strangely enough, Italian restaurant. And I learned about food, and I worked in restaurants, and I grew with that. And then at one point it was like, I want to have kids, and I can't see having kids working in a restaurant.
Yeah.
So I made that jump from working in a restaurant to food service sales. And it was great because they gave me a company car and paid me really well. And I didn't have to get my hands dirty, and I didn't smell like food at the end of the day. I'm like, this is really cool for a short period of time because I have a fear of rejection, and I was great at sales because I didn't go into a fine dining restaurant and try to sell them chicken fingers. I knew what people wanted, but I didn't enjoy sales. So, anyways, so I what did I do after? Oh, and I had kids and stayed with sales for a little bit, and then I bought a business, took over a business that was like a meal preparation business,
Oh,
like the
cool.
Chef's Plate and all these people. Yeah, except that I was 5 years too early,
Ah,
and in a very small market, and people are like, I'm not spending $25 for a meal that serves 4 to 6 people,
right.
but they'll happily spend 40 now, right?
Yeah.
So, so yeah, that was kind of frustrating, and that sort of dampened my I want to cook professionally spirit for a while. And I worked for an airline and traveled and just ate everywhere instead, which was great. But now I've gotten back to, my passion because there was something missing, right? It was just like it was work and it was fine and whatever. And then I thought, you know what, I need to get back to my roots, back to where I belong. And then I just went back into the cooking, and it's great. It fulfills me, makes me happy, and I think I have so much to share.
That's so, like, it's just, we connect so much with that. Like I said, I worked 6 years in health, like health insurance, just because it was a stable job rather than working for like, oh, I might have lost a lot of hours because we like didn't really like have much going on at the pasta place or something. And so it's really what happened for me. And then I was like, damn, I miss cooking like so bad, and I just want to be back in it. And so, you know I I went, and found the barbecue place, and weirdly enough, now I work for another barbecue place on the food truck. So I've been, we're it
That's
and
awesome.
it doesn't even matter what kind of food I'm like cooking or anything like that. I like to cook any types of food, like all of it, everything. I'm not maybe not using the skills that I took from culinary school, but that's okay because it doesn't really matter. We just love food, and whatever I make in the kitchen, I know is good. Like, my husband is also a chef. He
Oh,
had
wow.
been doing it for many of years. So, like, Nothing bad comes out of our kitchen, but if somebody asks me who's the better cook, I always say me. And he always says me. And I'm like, okay, we're good here. Our life, our marriage is solid, okay? Because you said that. But
Oh, absolutely.
right, and and that's our, unfortunately our kitchen is so small. It's annoying, so we can't be in the kitchen together cooking half the time. One day, that's anybody's way. For me, whenever I do buy a house, that's what's going to happen is I need the biggest kitchen that we can fit in, because
Yeah.
we do well together. We've worked together in multiple kitchens, actually. And yeah, so what is like what's your I don't want to say, like, I want to know what your favorite dish is to cook, but then I also want to know what your fan favorite dish is, like from the family, like from your husband or the kids, or both of those questions. I want them answered, please.
Well, it's funny. I'll backpedal a little bit and say that I didn't used to cook well with anybody in the kitchen. And even my kids, like I'm that rotten mom who wouldn't let the kids in because, sometimes they didn't measure accurately and not okay with that. Right. But eventually I did do a little bit of cooking. Um, and we renovated our kitchen during COVID, actually. I don't recommend. Um, but everything went smoothly. But you'll appreciate we put an island
Yeah.
in, and countertop in the island is butcher block.
Oh,
And people
nice.
are like, are you going to cook? Are you going to cut on that surface? I'm like, it's a kitchen. It's meant to be
Yeah.
used. So yes, I am. And when people watch me cook, they're like, oh, that's the best thing in the whole world. And I'm like, yeah, I love my butcher block
Yeah.
counter. Um, in terms of what my fan favorites are with my kids, for sure, it's on the stove right now, is spaghetti. I do wicked spaghetti and meat sauce
Mm,
and meatballs, and my kids crave it. Like my daughter's away at university in Toronto, and she's just home for a couple days now, and she said, Mom, can we freeze some of that and I can take it back to Toronto? I'm like, absolutely. Right. So, and I'm not going to lie, I love spaghetti. It's just one of those comfort foods. And you may be too young to remember, but when you used to go to spaghetti restaurant, always used to have one shaker of Parmesan cheese and one of crushed
mhm.
chilies. And so I remember that, and I like my crushed chilies and Parmesan cheese. It's got to be fresh grated Grana Padano.
Yeah.
Um, but spaghetti is definitely one of those things that my kids and everybody um, request from me. And it's funny, my ex-husband used to coach at a university here, used to coach hockey, and he used to get his team and the visiting teams would come in to my restaurant, and I'd do their pregame meal, and I'd make spaghetti for all these young
Yeah, yeah.
university kids. Funny, it was fun.
That's cool.
um, in terms of what my significant other requests, he is regrettably a little more picky. I swear he baited and switched me because he was like, "Oh yeah, I love food." And he does love
Yeah.
food, but he won't. He's one of these non-cilantro people or
Oh,
whatever.
jeez.
Um, and he loves so many things. Like, um, strangely enough, I made him a quiche one time. He's like, I love quiche. This is like my favorite thing, which is kind of cool because it's such an easy, no brainer type of thing for me to make for dinner. Um, but we really enjoy some of the basics, like a really good quality barbecued steak, and we do it on charcoal, not on propane.
Hmm.
Homemade from scratch, obviously, Caesar salad, things like that. We like a lot of the basics. Um, you probably have heard me mention ad nauseum that we have a house in France, and when I'm there, I don't cook anything that I make here.
Yeah.
I make only French things with ingredients that I can't get
Oh,
here,
yeah.
and so I love to switch it up a little bit and be creative. And there are definitely times though when I'm not at all creative and I just cook, something basic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's cool though. Like, I would, if I've never been to France for sure, but I know that when we do visit France and Italy, all we'll do is just eat everything around
oh,
at all the places, and eating our weight in pasta, and drinking my way through all the wine is what dreams are made
uh,
of.
yep, absolutely. And it's funny. My daughter was just in Italy traveling through with her boyfriend, and he loves to cook too. He went to school in France, and he loves to cook all things. And she's sending me pictures of all their meals and their pastas when they're in Rome and when they're in Florence. And I'm like, even though I travel and I do this, I'm still looking at their pictures going, oh my God, that looks so amazing. And one of the things that I thought was interesting, because I've seen it on so many menus, they went to a place in Genoa that has won an award for just a traditional pesto,
Mm,
basic pesto. And in Italy, it's super common on their menu. They just have the pesto pasta, which by, I don't know about in the States, but I know here, most people will be like, oh, that's boring. But people don't understand and appreciate the amazing flavor and subtleties that you get when you have a simple dish. You know, people, it's one of my pet peeves, and I've said this for years, is, you know, people go, oh, well, you know, I was in this restaurant, we had a maple glazed wasabi salmon with a turnip puree and beet garnish topped with a, uh, you know, whatever, and it goes on and on. I'm like, man, you lost me 10 ingredients ago,
right.
right?
Whatever happened to getting to the simple stuff, like you said, like, yeah, and it's all I've ever heard of Italy is like they've got four ingredients. That's it. And you're gonna dream about that plate for many years to come. And I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it at all. And that's really like for me is like being basic and not going overboard. I mean, there's a time and a place for sure, but
For sure.
I whatever, like if it's not broke, don't fix it. For us and when we have dinners and things like that, we do definitely love having it. One of our favorites is probably pasta night every night. I think I saw your Facebook post today, and you did have meatballs, and I was like, "Damn, I want some meatballs now!" Like, ugh, so good. um,
Oh, my kids will rebel if we don't have
yeah,
meatballs.
I
Like it's
mean,
just,
is it really spaghetti night if you don't have meatballs?
yeah,
Right? I
definitely.
don't think so.
So
Now, so we've been talking about like a lot of cooking aspects. So, do you do a lot of baking at all in the house, or like, do you have a favorite baked item that you make and everybody loves?
I am a baking queen. I'm
Awesome,
not
I
going to
love
lie.
it.
And it's funny because, you know, you were saying that you wanted to bake, and baking is so different,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Because it's chemistry and it's precise,
hmm
whereas you can fly by the seat of your pants when you're doing cuisine. I very seldom use
yeah,
recipes.
right.
Um, but baking we do. And it's funny, last night, my daughter Paris was home from school. I told her I'd make her saucy butterscotch pudding, which drives me crazy because it's good. But I am capable of so much more. And the kids always want this. And it's one of those, I don't know if you've ever seen a recipe that you make the cake batter and then you boil like a syrup and pour it over and bake it together. And then the sauce and the cake bake together.
Okay, that sounds amazing.
So it's really
Yeah.
good. But I mean, there's so many other things, and that's what they ask for all the time. But cinnamon buns is another one that is super popular. I have two versions. I have the yeast buns and the biscuit buns. I like the biscuit buns because they're quick to make, and the kids really always want the yeast buns.
Yeah.
And I put icing on the biscuit ones. I don't put icing on the yeast ones.
Okay.
So, you know, it's, I'm not a big chocolate eater. My partner is allergic to
Oh
chocolate,
wow.
which is bizarre, but he also has diabetes, so I think that kind of works.
Yeah.
So it's not as tempting the whole world. So I don't do a lot of chocolate things,
Yeah.
um, but I mean, my kids, I always sent them to school. They had home baked, you know, cookies and things like that. I never bought store bought. I even used to make applesauce. My kids grew up on homemade apple, and they still love that too, homemade applesauce. And I used to run out of containers to put their applesauce in, so I started putting them in Ziploc sandwich bags, and they just bite the corner out and squeeze it into their mouth.
Yeah.
I thought it was
That's
pretty good, but
genius, honestly.
yeah. But I don't know. I love baking, and I think, like you say, it's such an extension of me and love. And I have people ask me all the time, well, how come it tastes so much better when you make it? And I'm always super cheeky and I say it's because I put love in it. But you know what? I do put love in it. I don't ever whip something off. I can do it without giving it my entire
Yeah.
attention, but I'm still being careful and intentional about what I'm doing because I want to make it the best product I can make it.
Yeah, I agree. Totally. So I don't even know. Like I said, I wanted to have you on just because I wanted to talk all the things food. And, it's super funny because, like I said, I live in Pennsylvania. So times have changed and everything like that. So a lot of people are always just very, budget friendly and things like that. And we rarely go out to eat. If we do, it's something we've craved for a while. But majority of the time, I'd say probably like 90% of the time, we cook at home. People think that's so weird, but I don't know. Like to me, I want more people to want to love to do that. To
It's difficult because, and I know, and maybe not a lot of other people understand this, but we can make as good or better than what you're getting in a restaurant for a portion of the
right,
price.
exactly,
Right? So it's really hard to rationalize going out for dinner a
for
lot
sure.
because we eat better at
Yeah,
home.
exactly. And I mean, if there's like, for me, I think the most difficult type of cuisine for me to actually cook and nail to a T, like, is Asian cooking. Like I want those Chinese food lo mein noodles, and I can never make them the exact same. So I'm like, whatever, I am gonna go get those noodles, but everything else I'm gonna make right here at my house. So there are those days where I'm like, yeah, I split it. I make whatever I like. Beef and broccoli. Like my husband made beef and broccoli last night. It was actually really really good. But that is definitely something for me that I do struggle to make on a copycat basis, and it kind of ticks me off because I know the taste and I have all the ingredients and I do it, and I'm like, this is not the same. What the heck?
Yeah.
This is lame. But you know,
It's difficult to reproduce. I make a killer pad thai, not
ugh,
gonna
I
lie.
love that
My
pie.
pad thai is um, well, okay, I'm sure it's better in Asian restaurants, but it's pretty darn
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
And my whole family
Ugh,
loves pad thai
yeah.
too. So,
Definitely a good
um,
recipe.
but it's true. It's not always easy to recreate the Asian stuff, and I think it's got a lot to do with subtleties, right?
Hmm.
Like the oil they're using and the wok at an incredibly high
Right.
temperature and all the tools and all the little things. And it's funny, my brother spent many years in Hong Kong and he married a Filipino girl and he has got the inside track. Sam, if you saw the list, he sent me a list of all the dishes he makes. And I'm like, first of all, you've got way too much time on your hands. And second of all, he really does know a lot of those techniques for making that authentic Asian
Yeah.
food. And anytime I go to an Asian restaurant with him, we were in a Thai restaurant not that long ago, he gets into these big discussions with the servers and, oh, do you use this and do you do that? And so he really knows what he's doing, but that's from being there and studying the cuisine like up close and personal. And it really isn't super easy to create it here in North
Yeah.
America without being sort of taking a walk in their shoes type of thing.
So you're saying that I should just spend like a year somewhere that does that cuisine and I'll know all the ins and outs. All right. I'll make sure.
Or with my brother.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely like that's what I'm really learning from you right now, Krista, is that like I just need to travel a lot more and get there and do the things and see them
It's true.
firsthand.
It's true. The things that you learn. I mean, even when I'm in France, obviously I can cook,
Yeah.
right? But can I cook at the same level in France as the French people? And I'm not confident I can. And there's a little pub there that the guy who's a friend of mine, he wants to move to Thailand actually, and he's thinking of selling it. And I'm like, okay, I want to buy this and move to France and run this pub, but I'm not sure that I can cook French food to the level that the French people expect it
Mm,
because it is quite different. And without even realizing it, we put our little North American touches on it. And my neighbor in France is a really great cook, and he makes this amazing dish called tartiflette.
mm.
And he laughs at me because I'm always like, okay, tell me again how you do this. And it's absolutely not complicated. but it is amazing with the cheese, and it's got cheese and potatoes and bacon and cream, right? Like, what
Yeah,
more could you ask
yeah.
for?
That sounds amazing.
And yep, and until you spend the time in the country of the cuisine you're trying to recreate, you really don't get some of the little subtleties that make it so incredible.
That's cool. So also for me, like holidays are coming up. So I don't know. I love Halloween, don't get me wrong. I love Thanksgiving, but I definitely just skip over everything and just go straight for Christmas. I mean, I have I love cooking the meal. And it's super funny. I'm sure you can relate because you see a lot of people are like stressed out over that meal, and I don't know. I thrive off of it. I want to make sure, like in my head, I don't ever write anything down. I'm like, okay, so the like I just know. I know what needs to go in first. I know what needs to come out. I know like every. It's just like a waltz in the kitchen for me, and I love making those big, huge meals, and this year it's just gonna be me and my husband, which is fine. It doesn't matter. I'm still gonna cook like I cook for 10 people, so it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter. Right. And so, like for your holidays, do you guys have like standards? Like, what is it that you're making on your holiday list that are like, we'll start with Thanksgiving first. Like, what do you guys do?
Well, Thanksgiving this year, Canadian Thanksgiving was
Oh,
a couple
that's
of weeks
right.
ago.
Yeah, I forget.
It was an interesting one this year because I planned to do it in France, and I have my oldest daughter, the one who was in Italy, was going to be in France to join us for Thanksgiving, and she goes bonkers for turkey. Like, the running joke is she went to somebody's birthday party when she was 6 years old and walked in the door and went, "I like turkey." Like, turkey's a thing for her. And so I was going to do this big, and I did this big Thanksgiving dinner. And I got my neighbor, I said, "Where can I get a turkey?" And he said, "Let me look." And he ordered one, right? And it was supposed to be delivered from Chrono Fresh, which is the same as Amazon Fresh. And it was supposed to be delivered on Saturday the 12th, and it didn't arrive. And we've got everybody coming for
Oh,
Monday. And then on Monday, they're like, "Yeah, we can get it to you tomorrow." And I'm like, "Oh, shit." So I messaged everyone and said, because I've got some friends, some French friends coming, messaged them and said, "Okay, it's going to have to be Tuesday." And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, no problem." Didn't arrive
oh
Tuesday.
no.
"It'll be here Wednesday for sure." And I'm like, "Okay, it's going to have to be on Wednesday." And then, of course, it didn't show up at all.
Oh man.
So I had to go to the grocery store and bought pieces of turkey, like turkey breasts and turkey legs, and roasted them separately and cooked them on top of the stuffing, and had to make a pumpkin pie out of squash because they don't have pumpkin.
Oh,
And it all came together really nicely, and it was great.
yeah.
The French people loved it. They were like, "This is amazing. We can't believe how great this is." And I had a little trouble sourcing some of the ingredients, but it all worked out well. And I have my traditions, like I always do. My stuffing has cornbread in it, and I keep it pretty simple. And so yeah, and we brought the cranberries from Canada so that we could make cranberry sauce. And so yeah, I go pretty traditional with the Thanksgiving. The turkey and the stuffing with savory and cornbread and white bread, and pumpkin pie and apple pie, and I like Brussels sprouts with my turkey
Ugh,
dinner, and
me
so
too.
does
We are
Jack.
just two peas in a pod. Brussels sprouts. Everybody,
Right?
I suggested that one year, and everybody looked at me like I had two heads. I said, "You're eating Brussels sprouts, so this is what's happening."
I make them for me.
Yeah,
If nobody else eats them, too
I
bad.
will.
But usually other people
Right,
do.
exactly. They just try a little bit of it, and they're like, "Dang it, you were right."
Yeah.
I do forget that Canada has their different holiday. It's just Thanksgiving, right?
Yep. It's otherwise everything else is the
Yeah.
same.
Um,
Sometimes it's named differently. Like you guys have, what's your November 11th thing?
I don't remember. I think it's what is it?
Bro,
Veterans
Veterans
Day. Yeah,
Day.
yeah, yeah. Veterans Day.
Yeah, we call it Remembrance
Okay,
Day.
okay, yeah. See, I love that.
Yeah.
I love
So just cool stuff.
different things like that. My husband does have a friend who does live in Canada, and sometimes, we talk about candy and stuff. Oh my gosh,
Hmm.
you guys have different candy, and my husband's like, we need to move there.
Good candy.
He loves the candy. He likes the like these little chewy guys. They're like little cherry bombs, almost like the Sour Patch Kids, but they're like they look like cherries, and he loves them. And then
You guys don't have those in the
no,
States?
we don't. We only have like the Sour Patch Kids, and
Oh, I'm
I
so
know
sorry about that. They're amazing.
he we ordered.
Cherry
Yes,
blossom.
we ordered them from Amazon. That's what we had to do. And he was like, I gotta order like 4 more bags. I said, okay, whatever makes you happy.
What about, honey?
Right. And then he's always talking about Mars bars, which I've never had before. And
Mhm.
he's like, I gotta have those too. I said, okay, well, we'll try and get those and stuff. And
There's Mars bars in the States.
so they're not called Mars bars. They're I think they're similar. I think his friends said that they're almost like musketeer bars, I think. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, with the nougat and the caramel and then wrapped in
yeah,
chocolate.
yeah, yeah. So I think, like, I mean, I think now they make musketeer bars with caramel in them, but they never had them originally with caramel. But he said they're a must have, which we've not done, but we'll get there.
Actually,
um
you know what they're more like, Sam, is they're like a Snickers bar with no peanuts.
oh, see, and I do like the nougat bars every once in a while. Like they're so like it's just nice to have. I love chocolate. That's my favorite thing to eat when it comes to candy, at least. And then
I just discovered they've got a Reese's chocolate bar with nougat in it now, and it's like, oh,
oh, okay.
so
Anything
good.
Reese's for sure. I'm all about that. And then they made an all dressed up chip for the states, and we'd never had that before, but we bought a couple bags, and we really like that. Very very good flavor on those, and now we can't find them again because I don't
Of
know
course,
what.
limited edition.
Yeah, I don't know what the United States was thinking. They just said, you know what, here's this great treat from Canada, but no, thank you. We're never going to repeat it. It's like, ugh, they were
Yeah,
so good.
I know. They come out with these new
They
flavors,
do.
and you get all excited, and then it's like, no,
Never
sorry.
see him again ever. I know for me growing up too, and like for Christmas, it was so funny because I'm Hawaiian. With a little my mom was Hawaiian and my dad was Italian. So I've got a mixture. Obviously, I just look Hawaiian. So when I tell them that I'm Italian, they're like, "No, you're not. Stop lying." I said, "I am. I can definitely get the test done. I promise." But we would have Italian like Christmas every once in a while. We'd have lasagna at our Christmas meals because I mean, I don't know. To me that was normal, obviously. And I love having it. And when I also make Italian wedding soup, people think I'm very
I love
uh,
Italian
I
wedding.
love it. I don't like my great grandmother taught me how to make it with chicken, spinach, and that's it. And meatballs, and that's it. Nothing else. That's how it was. And again, that's what I get chastised for when I say this is my Italian wedding soup. This is how.
It's the
Yes,
simplicity.
and I've loved it. And then there's other people who are like, well, I put an egg in mine, and then I put pasta in it. And I'm like, well, that's great. My mom decided to make it Hawaiian and put it over rice. It was her favorite thing to do, and it was honestly like the best of both worlds of my life. For cultural
That's what it's
cultural
supposed to
like
be.
differences came together here. We put it in
Yeah,
one bowl and ate it like it was Italian Hawaiian Italian meal. It was so
love
so
it.
good. So like I know like that was something that we even just made for after like Thanksgiving with turkey instead because we had so much turkey left over and decided to do that. And now I'm like just really getting excited for the holiday to cook because it is.
Yeah.
I actually requested it for a birthday one year. I said, we're going to have Thanksgiving dinner for my birthday. Thanks, guys.
Perfect. Why not, right? When's your birthday?
April 16th. So it was a
Okay.
good time to
Okay.
have it because it was like halfway through the year. So we got two
Yeah.
Thanksgiving meals and everybody wanted that anyways. So it was great. Loved it. And then, yeah.
One thing we used to do for, or I still do, I guess, for Christmas, and this was my ex husband's family tradition, and he was a really picky eater, and I mean really picky. When I met him, all he ate was sliced turkey sandwiches, plain chicken breast, celery with cheese whiz, and lettuce with French dressing.
Okay.
but he'd never had a
Oh
steak,
man.
didn't eat any pork, no fish, no nothing, right? So, I mean, it was whatever. But his family used to do hors d'oeuvres on Christmas Eve, and his mom used to make this cheese
Mm.
ball. And before I went to their house, like I guess it must have been when I was just sort of getting to know him, he said, I really love a cheese ball. And I'm like, okay, I'll make you one. So I found all these recipes, and every one I made, he's like, no, no, no. And I'm like, it's a cheese ball. How can it be that different? Then I finally went to his house for Christmas Eve, and his mother puts blue cheese in the cheese ball. And I'm like, well, that's why my cheese balls were not, reaching the grade, because compared to this tangy one with the blue cheese, and I never in a million years would have believed that he would like blue cheese. But
Yeah.
anyway, so that cheese ball has sort of become part of our Christmas tradition. And instead of making one, I make a couple logs, I make a couple little ones. So if it's just two of us having a little
Yeah.
snack, we can have that, right? I roll some in nuts and some in parsley in case somebody's got a nut allergy. And so the cheese balls have sort of become a tradition of ours that we always have around at Christmas, which is nice. And my kids really like shrimp rings. So there's always shrimp and cocktail sauce around
Let me
too.
tell you. So, between like my house, my brother, and my sister in law, my sister in law is actually in hotel restaurant management. She had managed a couple restaurants. She moved to like a hotel in Erie, and then she was out in this is a crazy story because my husband and I we met at the resort that she actually worked at for the past couple years, probably 6 years. I guess she was there, but she
Okay.
started working there, and this was after me and my husband had worked there, and so we've got a lot going on in the hotel restaurant management, hotel like life, foodie life here. And then
Yeah.
anytime we would go to events over there with her family, they've got a huge family, and her sister's actually married to a chef, so it was so fun when we would just, yeah, we just got together and started talking. And my brother just really liked to eat the food that everybody brought. He was very ambitious. He at one point did want to be in culinary school. It never panned out. He's a banker now, so it's fine. But he is very good.
Cool.
Right, exactly. He really likes to recreate some of the things that like we have all brought. And so one thing he does love to do religiously when we have a gathering is a shrimp ring, and he makes the cocktail sauce because his brother-in-law made the cocktail sauce, so he makes it because they didn't always attend, so he had to make it happen, or else he was like, well, we're not having shrimp, I guess, and that's not okay with me. But I loved, I unfortunately they moved to Orlando, so we're a little bit further away from them right now. So a lot of the time we would have, my niece has a birthday, so we'd always just have like gatherings of all the food and everything like that. And I don't know, for me, like I love hearing when people say, oh my god, this is so amazing, Sam, but I also get like, thanks, I appreciate it, thank you. Like that kind of, like I do take, I'm trying to grow into the compliment, but a lot of the time,
Yeah.
my sister-in-law, she's always like, she has the one dish for me, it's my banana pudding, which I literally found from like, I think it was, I forget what her name was, it was a chef online, so I stole it from there, and now I can't go anywhere without having banana pudding around her, which I'm happy to do. It is so stupid easy to make, but like those fun gatherings, I'll definitely miss where I can like cook like that. But um,
Yeah.
like that's why that is just my passion, is to just bring food to the table for whoever wants to eat. Um,
Yeah. I agree, and I'm the same way. It's just when I have a full table, and my kids laugh at me, they roll their eyes all the time because whenever somebody comes over new, like my kids bring a friend, or when Riley's boyfriend first started coming, I always say the only rule here is that you're not allowed to leave hungry. And they're like, because people are polite and it's like, no, no, I'm fine, but no, you have to
yeah,
eat, and I'm not going to force it down your throat. But I've got my kids are bringing young growing adults, and I know you're hungry, so don't hide that shit under a barrel, just have another
right,
serving, right? And that's what I want to fill the table with food, and I want to fill the table with
yeah.
people. the more people, the better. And, everybody's always welcome at our table. And there's always, the kids will say, Mom, who's that guy? And why is he here? I'm like, because I know him and his family lives in Quebec and he's alone, so he's invited
Yeah.
for dinner. And that's the way I want it to be. I want to include everybody. I want everybody to enjoy
Yeah.
themselves and lots of food. And I always make way
Way
too
too
much,
much.
but I would be horrified if we ran out of anything.
Yes, I think.
I just I
Yeah,
can't, I can't live
that
without
is
it.
definitely the problem I have for sure. And then I, like you said, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I just ran out of food. This is not great. But yeah, so I guess we can wrap it up. I really loved talking and learning a little bit about you, and we do have a lot of similarities, which is super fun. Maybe you want to tell everybody where they can like follow you and what they can expect from like. I mean, I definitely would love to like have more conversations about more food in the near future with you. But yeah, let's
We
go
can
ahead and
definitely have conversations about
yeah.
food. Um, I always tell people, oh, wait, before I do this, I didn't ask you, you asked me, but I want you to tell me what your favorite dish to
Oh,
make
my
is.
favorite. Oh man, that's hard because I haven't been doing a lot of the cooking lately. Honestly, for me, I think my favorite thing to make is oh, I can't even think. I've made too much stuff. I'm trying to, oh, you know what it is? We used to have this dish at my uncle and my aunt's house, and we were like kids, and they're kids until they actually had a kid, and it was called beef tomato, and I hadn't had it since I was a little girl, and a couple years ago I said, you know what, I need to find this recipe and figure out how it was because I mean, as an adult, I never thought about having to make it again, and I actually lost my mom to breast cancer, so I really fell into like
Oh,
this.
sorry.
Thank you. I fell into this like I want to just make sure that these recipes don't die. Like I always
Preserve.
want to keep them alive, and that's my memory like every day, and like giving it to my husband as well because like we were all from different places. We all grew up in different like homes and the way we ate, and so he has his things that he brings to me, but when I cook I'm like, we're gonna just try it, let me know if you like it. And so the beef tomato is something I was really just like, this just reminds me of like good times with
Mm-hmm.
my aunt and stuff. And I've got plenty of recipes from my mom too that I'm like, oh, so how'd you like this? He's like, this stays on the menu forever, okay? And I'm like, oh good, I'm glad you really enjoy it. Like you make my heart happy when I do get to like pass on some of this food that we as kids really, you know, I wasn't really like in a great upbringing. We had food on the table. That was it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
this is what we had. They did a lot of pork. We did a lot of ground beef. It was cheap and it was so good. Like so good. So
Oh,
that is definitely one of my favorite things to make. It is so stupid simple as well. It's almost like pepper steak, I guess. So, but it's so
yeah.
good, so easy to make.
That's awesome. My mom actually passed away from breast cancer too, like eight
Oh,
years ago,
sorry.
and I have my recipes that I've cooked of hers forever and ever, and cooked for my kids since they were little. And a couple of years after she passed away, for Christmas for my middle daughter, I made her a cookbook
Oh, that's
of
cool.
a bunch of these recipes that are just family, only the family traditional
Oh, that's
ones,
cool.
right? The saucy butterscotch pudding I told you
Yeah.
about, and cinnamon buns,
Oh,
and shortbreads, and all these traditional family dishes. So I get that. I get how important it is to preserve it from one generation to the
yeah.
next, and it's just a spiral bound thing. But I put bunches of pictures of kids when they were
Yeah.
little,
Aw.
throughout the book, and I think at the time she was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And now she uses it, her sister or brother use it, my ex-husband uses it when they're at his
Yeah,
house or
yeah.
whatever. So these recipes, you get used to
Yeah.
them and they become a part of you. And when you recreate them and you taste them and you put them in your mouth, it's like
Yeah.
home,
Just like it's
right?
like that. So I'm sure you've seen Ratatouille. I'll refresh your memory
Yeah.
whenever he has the ratatouille, like the dish, and he takes a bite of it, and he like travels backward as a little kid, and he fell off the bike and stuff, and then his mom made him it,
Yeah.
and I was like, ugh, this is exactly what I want everybody to think of when they like eat a piece of my food or something, like they just, or like
Yeah.
I just want them to think about that when they are having a meal with their family, or maybe sometimes we don't really think about that, but it's something that we all have one destination, and we want to make sure that we're like living life to the most, and when you don't have to miss that little memory, just like enjoy it at the moment, and I think that food is a special place always and forever in my heart, and I'm going to continue to push that message out that it's all love. It's a place for us to just gather around it and have fun, laugh, cry, enjoy it, and just be together.
Absolutely right, Sam. You hit the nail on the head. That's amazing.
So yeah. But yeah, where can some people find you to like maybe talk a little bit more about, you know, creating more connection with their loved ones?
I always just send people to my Facebook profile, which is just my
Yeah.
name, Krista Melanson, because that way they can take a look at me. My links are there. They can, creep me a little bit and see a bit about me and see if I seem like somebody they might want to be interested in getting to know a little more and talking to. So everything is there on my Facebook profile, and it's the best way to reach out and connect with me.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was a lot of fun to, like I said, get to know
Thanks for
you
having me.
and talk shop basically. But
Yeah,
yeah, so
we will do it
yeah,
again.
for sure, guys. We'll go ahead and